Hello and welcome to another V's Cards video. My name is Veronika Čuić and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Australia. And in this short video I'm going to show you how to make 3 easy cards in under 7 minutes. We're going to do one zip card and then we're going to upgrade that with Gilded Leafing. The other zip card will be stepped up using dimensionals and a die cut. These cards are fun and easy to mass produce. And they're all stamped using my favourite stamp set, Artistically Inked. Speaking of which, here's a quick look at what you'll need for card 1. It literally is a zip card, stamp, ink and paper. Alright, let's get started. To begin, I'm going to cut a piece of copy paper to a 1-inch thickness and I'm going to mask that over the card front. I will tightly adhere it to my scrap piece of paper so that it doesn't move as I'm stamping. Originally I used cardstock to cover up that section, but I found that it wasn't really working very well. It was quite gappy when I was stamping. Make sure you really ink up the stamp and hold and press down onto the cardstock. This will allow for clear and even coverage of ink. Do you see what I mean by a gap? There's a thin white line. When I used cardstock as the strip, it was a much thicker line. I didn't like that. I'm building up the card by changing the image and stamp colour and stamping. So one colour and stamp at a time until I'm done. Now I'm going to stamp one of the flowers which was contained in the trio in the stamp set, which I've snipped if you remember my last video. Once again, I can see the value in having separated those 3 as I am using only one of the 3 flowers for this particular card. So it's paid off for me. The only thing is I need to be careful about a halo around each small cutout stamp. Now I'm almost done in building the images on the card front. Next up I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And ta-da, there you go, a finished zip card. Perfect. If you wanted to step it up, you can add some liquid adhesive. And I'll do that now and then I'm going to leave it to dry. Try not to go too thick. You can smoothen it out using the other end of that liquid glue. As I mentioned in my previous video, that liquid adhesive will dry tacky and it'll be perfect for the gilded leafing. Now masking for this card, we're just stamping on to create our own designer series paper. Be sure to have scrap paper underneath your card front so that when you're stamping you can stamp the image off the edge and keep your work surface ink free. It makes it look more even and realistic. Partial images on the centre of a pattern paper is something you would expect. In the comments section, let me know which languages you speak. I'd love to know. Croatian is my mother tongue, although I do speak English more fluently. I also learned a little bit of German in my high school years back in the day. What about you? Please share in the comments section. Or share what inspired you in this video. Now it's time to stamp the sentiment on a different strip of cardstock and then die cut the sentiment into a label shape. To set myself up, I'm using plate 1, then I'm using a clear cutting plate, which is plate 2. Then I'm putting the cardstock down and I'm taping up the die cut facing down onto the cardstock. Finally, I'm putting a second clear cutting plate on top and away I go with winding. As you can see, I have a marking on my plate 1. Someone had used it to cut directly onto it as if it was a cutting plate. It is the clear ones that are cutting plates, and this is where your paper and your dies should go, not on the base plate. So just be careful with that and ask questions if you're unsure. Demonstrators, I recommend that you not only demonstrate how to use the sandwich but also check in on your participants to make sure that they have the right sandwich type. This could save you from replacing your plates a lot earlier than required. To finish off the card, I'm going to pop it up using dimensionals and adhere it to the card front. And if you're tempted to use some bling, go ahead and do so as well. It's still a fairly simple card even with the bling. So this is what I call a SIP Plus card, where you're doing stamp, ink and paper, plus 2 other things, the bling and popping up the sentiment. Still a fairly quick and simple card to craft. The liquid adhesive has dried now and it's still tacky, so now we're going to dip it into the Gilded Leafing container I use. We're going to press it onto the dry tacky glue and then we're going to brush it off. Warning, this is where your craft room starts getting a little bit messy and you see some beautiful gold flying around the place. I'm using a craft brush with a fairly coarse bristle so that it does a good job brushing off any excess gold leafing. It certainly gives a beautiful effect. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I've inspired you. Please take a moment to like, subscribe and share. And you're invited to comment in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, happy crafting and see you in the next video.